King of Charmanders here, and I have more Retro Cup featuring the big giant space goose swan thingy moon. I have no idea what to call it. Big space Jetsons banana duck thingy. There you go. That's what I call Cresselia. You probably know at one point this thing absolutely destroys Ultra League. Well, to this day, it's still very oppressive. And at one point, it pissed everyone off because it had very overpowered charge moves. Well, actually, specifically one that would lower your attack by 30%, which made it really, really freaking annoying. Yeah, they lowered it down 10%, but it's still really, really freaking annoying. And guess what? It is actually top tier meta for the Retro Cup. Congratulations. The thing that annoyed you the most in Ultra League that I use in Yline. Okay, I haven't used it since season 6, so you can't. So I've only. Okay, yeah. So don't flame me too much. Anyways, yes, big thick duck thingy, and it's really good for the Retro Cup. Top tier meta, and the reason why it's so good is because it's extremely bulky. For Great League, this thing has an immense amount of defense and stamina. You've probably seen it in Great League a lot. And now with even now it's still, you could still possibly see it in Great League. The only difference is it's really hard to get and it's really expensive because you need to get it from research, if you did, I believe a long time ago, they had like a Sinnoh research thing that you could get a Great League Cresselia for, or you can get it traded to you. Either way, however way you got it, it's very tanky and very good for Great League. It's really good in the Retro Cup because of its typing. Because Psychic type is very strong when you don't have Dark or Steel types allowed. That means Ghost types, yes, there are Ghost types out there. However, because it's so bulky, it can still take a ton of Ghost type. It could take a ton of charge moves before it goes down. And it has Psycho Cut, so that means it charges very quickly. As you see here, it does resist fighting and Psychic, so you do resist your own typing. But the best thing about it is probably Moonblast. So Cresselia has a very versatile charge moveset. The one that's most popular and the one you'll use for the Retro Cup the most is Moonblast Grass Knot. So the thing is, with Psycho Cut, you charge really quickly. With Grass Knot and Moonblast, you have a combination of moves that either one, spam really good, and two, you could possibly get debuff. And that's what makes Cresselia so good in Ultra and so good for Great League. Its moveset and just the ability to... You could even use Confusion if you want, but you kind of want to use Psycho Cut just because of your ability to spam charge moves, and in this cup for the Retro Cup, there's a lot of fast spamming moves, so you definitely want Psycho Cut. There isn't any real reason for you to have Confusion. Confusion works in Ultra League, however, there's not a lot of targets for it for the Retro Cup. Alright, here's the PvPoke.com rankings for Cresselia. As you see here, Cresselia ranks at number 3 overall. It has an A- or A+ strong across the entire board. It has 90s in almost everything, except consistency, but in other words, it's really freaking good for the Retro Cup. As you see here, the preferred moveset is Psycho Cut, Grass Knot, and Moonblast because of what you cover. What makes Cresselia so good is because it has Grass Knot in the Retro Cup meta. As you see here, what your key wins are, you are able to take out the water meta pretty handily because you have Grass Knot. Moonblast also gives you the potential to hit Metacham XL pretty hard, and you can get the debuff. Because it's so obscenely thick, as you see here, the ratings you have for Altar and Obama, they aren't that bad. But they aren't that bad. 500, 600 still pretty iffy, but as you see here, you could still deal a decent chunk of damage, and you can flip these matchups if you get the debuff. That's what makes Cresselia so powerful across the board. In the league, Cresselia ranks at number 13. You can mix Cresselia with a whole bunch of things, but as you see here, it generally beats what it doesn't beat, but the reason why it's so strong is because, like I mentioned before, Grass Knot. Grass Knot gives you that water coverage. As a switch, Cresselia ranks at number 4. It's an incredibly powerful safe switch. Arguably better than Hypno, just based on what it covers. It's fast, it's tanky, and you can switch out Moonblast or Future Sight if you want to be able to hit AWAC really hard, or if you want to hit other Pokemon really hard. It's really up to you. But the reason why it's kind of well, this is just an argument for every psychic type that uses a safe switch. It's just the ghost. That's pretty much it. As you see here, it's still incredibly powerful. If you already have something that already covers like the ghost typings, Cresselia is not a bad idea. In the closer, Cresselia is number 8. So as you see in the switch and the closer, it's in the top 10. As a closer, it's incredibly powerful because it's able to take out Altaria, Deoxys defense, Metachamps. You can take out other Frost, other Ice. You could take out other Psychic types, and you're able to take out Frostless and a whole variety of things. Obviously, what you're weak against is basically what you're weak against in all positions, i.e. Alola Marowak, Drifblim, obviously because they're ghost types, Licky because it licks you to death, and Galvantula because of Lunge. So, well, it's pretty obvious. What beats you as a Psychic is what's going to beat you in the Retro Cup meta. But as you see here, it's incredibly powerful across the board in all perspectives. If you have double coverage against ghost types or against whatever you see here, you can put Cresselia in the back and it can go to town because with Psycho Cut, it will outpace a majority of the meta. Alright, here's my favorite part of the video, PvPoke.com rankings. As you would see here, please consider donating PvPoke.com. So Cresselia, I'm not going to go too hard on the bulk and breakpoints. Let's be real here. It is hard to get a freaking Space Duck. I'm not going to sit here and try to research bulk and breakpoints and have you trade 500,000 dust so that you can get an optimal Cresselia. Use the one you have. If it's a good IV one, it's a good IV one. If you don't have a good IV one, use your best to try to get one as close as you can or as good as you can. Like I mentioned before, this thing's expensive. If you don't have one, there's options out there. If you do have one, we're going to find out if it's going to be really, really good for you, which statistically is really, really good for you. So, in the 2 shield, as you see here, we're going to hit battle. And in the 2 shield, Obama Snow obliterates you. Altaria also gives you a hard time. However, what I'm exploring here is, I forgot to mention, I'm exploring all moveset. Okay, so rather than explore bulk and breakpoints, we're gonna go movesets. So I got Grass Knot, Moonblast. I also got Grass Knot, Future Sight, or we got Moonblast, Future Sight. So variety of movesets. The top one is the preferred moveset, but as you see here, there is merit to running Future Sight. Future Sight, you could possibly take out Obama Stone. As you see here with Cresselia, well, you have to double bait and then hit Future Sight. Yeah, just if you see Shadow Obama, just run. Just run. As far as Cresselia goes, whoever wins CMP or whoever has an energy lead will win the mirror match. You beat Deoxys defense if you have Grass Knot, as you see here. You're also able to beat Dugong. This is where not having Grass Knot kinda sucks, is because if you look at Dugong and for Lapras, you don't have Grass Knot, you lose it pretty handily. So Grass Knot there is merit to you. You kinda want Grass Knot. As you see here, you take out Dragonair just because of Moonblast. You lose against Ghost types and, of course, Galvantula just because it has Lunge. You also lose against Hypno just because Hypno is, like, Hypno is just as thick. And, unfortunately, Hypno does have Shadow Ball. So, if it hits you with Shadow Ball, it kind of sucks. It does 70 damage, so about half your damage. But even then, like, you're going to have a hard time choking one down. Even if you try to take it out, as you see here, it still will take you, it still lives with a big chunk of energy. Even if you did try to go straight Moonblast, as you see here, and hopefully if you get a debuff, it's still going to be really rough. In order for you to flip this matchup, you need to get a debuff. So if this debuff, so assuming one Moonblast actually got the debuff, it can still win, as you see here. If you get the debuff on the second one, you'll still lose. If you get the debuff on the first one, Hypno still wins. So second or first, wherever you get the debuff, you can still lose. So well, if you don't shield the Thunder Punch, but if you shield the Shadow Ball, you can win. So this is an incredibly chaotic baiting matchup, and if you don't bait, or if you don't get the debuff, Hypno still wins. So you need to get a debuff and call the Shadow Ball. Just assume that you lose the Hypno matchup, because it's a very rough matchup. You have to get the debuff and you have to call the Shadow Ball. However, you do beat Shadow Hypno just because of Hypno's bulk, but regular Hypno is the preferred one around here, so don't expect to see too many Shadow Hypnos running around, at least from what I see. You beat Lapras with Grass Knot, you also beat Lickitung. You can beat Lickitung with Future Sight as well. The reason why you get Future Sight is because you can bait, if you bait both shields or if you land Future Sight through the shields, you do enough damage to take out Lickitung. Of course, this is assuming that's not a level 51 Lickitung, because if you fade a level 51 Lickitung, guess what? You're going to get licked down. It doesn't matter what you do. Shadow Machamp goes down. You will lose against Mantine and Alola Marowak, unfortunately, just because Alola Marowak, it's freaking Alola Marowak, okay? It's going to Shadow Bone you to death. If you have Grass Knot and Moonblast, it technically walls you. Yeah, Psycho Cut barely hurts, but you know, Grass Knot and Moonblast are resisted against Alola Marowak, just because, yeah, it's Fire and Ghost, so yeah, yeah. Even if you do have Future Sight, you're going to die anyway, so just keep that in mind. With Mantine, you lose against Mantine just because it has Bubble Beam. It can debuff you down. And because Cresselia doesn't have a high attack anyways, it's going to laugh at you a lot. Same thing with Mew, it's going to Shadow Claw your eyes out, so just make sure you switch out. And with Grass Knot, you're able to beat Regirock, Celio, and Wishcast. So there is huge merits to Grass Knot because you cover the water meta. After going down shields, you go to the one shield, things get a little better for you. Not really, but like as you see here, against what it's very similar to the 2 and the 1s in the 2 shield. That's what's surprising. Cresselia doesn't like if you go to the 1 shield, the matchups pretty much are exactly the same. As you see here, you lose against what you lose against, you win against what you win against. You have a better chance against Lickitung, and you get better ratings on some things. You also beat Mantine, but the only matchup you pick up in the entire meta is Mantine. That's it. So you still lose against Mew, you still lose against Alolan Marowak. You're still going to lose against water types if you don't have Grass Knot. And you're still going to lose against Hypno and Dripblim because they're Ghost. And Frostus still outpaces you in the 1 shield, so yeah, just be careful. But that's the great thing. Cresselia is pretty easy to use because if you see a matchup in front of you, you can pretty much understand if you win or lose or not, depending on your shield scenario. As you see here, 2 and the 1s are very similar. So run a Matrix, look at what you lose against, and generally you'll lose all shield scenarios, I would say. Because if you're in the 0s, things get dicey. If you're in the 0 shield, this is where you can take down Abomasnow. You can also take out Altara because you can Moonblast it to death. So in the 0s, I would say like in the 0s, like so leaving it in the back with shields or like leaving it with energy lead, etc. It does a lot better than it would do in the lead and the switch position. Still very good as a switch, but as you see here, it's able to KO a lot of things. You still lose against Dripblim, some Ghosts. You also lose against Galvantula, Hypno, Licky, and Marowak. But that's just because, like I said, Marowak walls you. So just keep that in mind. But you're able to pick up big wins against things like Mew. You're able to pick up wins against Altaria. And like I said, both Abomasnows. Both versions of Abomasnow. So the closer is very good. The key of Cresselia is the fact that it outpaces a lot of things. And it's able to beat Frostus in the closer. And you can also kind of outpace Frostus. If you look at the matchup here, well, you don't really outpace it. It's just you are so obscenely thick that you could just go straight Grass Knot. One Shadow Ball will not KO you. So you could go straight Grass Knot and that will KO a Frostus. However, that also means if this thing has enough energy for 2 Shadow Balls, you're gonna die. So yeah, just be careful. In the 1-0s, as you see here, if you hit play in the 1-0s, it beats a majority of the entire meta. The issue in the 1-0s is that you have to be a little dicey. Well, if you're running the basic moveset, you lose to Licky, and Alolan Marowak still just because you get walled. You need Future Sight if you want to take out your weaknesses. Though there is merit to running Future Sight, however, the scenarios that are in aren't really worth it. For example, if you get locked into Alolan Marowak, if you see here, if you have Moonblast, like it's kind of not worth it. Here's Future Sight. As you see here, you only pick up wins if you're in if you have shield advantage. With Moonblast, you can still pick up the wins, but you don't pick up a win at all. Never mind, I lied. So unless you get the debuff, you lose. So there is merit to running Future Sight. However, like you lose your debuff capability with Moonblast, and it's really up to you. Future Sight can surprise some people, and sometimes it won't work. But as you see with Future Sight, you're able to beat a majority of the meta. The only issue you have if you use Future Sight is you won't be able to beat Mew. You might see a lot of people running Mew because they want to test out their new shiny Mew in the Retro Cup, so that's why I'm like, it's up to your discretion whether you want to run Future Sight or not. If you have double counts against Psychic, Future Sight can work for you. And of course, in the rare scenario that you do get 2-0s, it does beat the entire meta except for Alolan Marowak, just because you get walled. Like I said, you need Future Sight to take out Alolan Marowak. In the 2-1s, things get a little dicey. 2-1s isn't bad. It's very similar to the 0 shield scenarios I mentioned before. You just lose against Dripblim, and you lose against Mantine and Alolan Marowak. I don't know why you lose against Mantine in 2-1s, but I guess it's because it debuffs you, but I don't foresee too many Mantines running around. I don't foresee too many Mantines running around. That's because Thunder Punch, and Hypno, and Thunder Punch, and Mew, and yeah. Bring on the thunder. Yay. That's basically it. So don't worry about that too much. Alolan Marowak is the big one though, so be careful of Alolan Marowak and Licky. Not to say you won't see a lot of Licky, but you know, Licky is pretty dang good in this meta, so you don't want to get licked out. But yeah, I know Alolan Marowak. So those are the 2 big ones you have to watch out for. As you see overall, it's very, very powerful in the meta. Its best positions are in the switch and the closer. If you if you use it as a save switch, just keep in mind you do kind of lose a lot of matchups. So I wouldn't try to use it, even though even statistically it's a great switch. I would just be careful about it, just because, like I said, you kind of lose a lot of things. In argument, you probably can use it in the closer. Closer would probably be better, just because, yeah, as you see here. But generally, as I mentioned before, Cresselia is a huge tank. Its strength in this meta is unlike a lot of the other psychic types. Unless it's like Hypno with Thunder Punch, it can do it hits really hard with Grass Knot. You can straight Grass Knot down a Frostless. So in all of the psychic types in the meta, it has a strong chance against Frostless just because it's so bulky. Also, as you see here, as I mentioned, if you give it shields and it's in the closer, it does very good. Now, the thing is, what makes Cresselia an 8 out of 10, which I give it, is just because it's really expensive and hard to get. You can just throw Hypno in place of Cresselia. If you use Cresselia instead of Hypno, there are strengths and weaknesses compared. There's strengths to it, like I mentioned with the water meta. If the meta does lean towards a crazy, like water, like you see a lot of water types, etc., you could, Cresselia is pretty dang good. Like I mentioned, with Moonblast, you can get the debuff. You get the debuff, you flip matchups. So, has debuff potential, does heavy damage, charges fast with Psycho Cut, so it does really good. I'm not mentioning bulk and breakpoints a lot, because as you see here, they don't really matter too much. For example, if you look at Hypno, and if we do go to bulk and breakpoints, so if I do this, we go to bulk and breakpoints, add Cresselia. I'm not going to do all the other movesets, but if we do Cresselia, if we do an add comparison, so I'm remove Cresselia from the group, do Cresselia, do an add comparison. The bulk and breakpoints aren't too much. So as you see here, if we go to the no shield, you're not going to see a lot. The odds of you getting any of these IV spreads are not that great. And if you see here, there's no real break or bulk points where a high attack Cresselia would really merit you anything unless it's in the mirror match. In fact, because you have high attack, you kind of lose some. You lose against Frostless in the 2 shield. Well, actually in the closer, you'll actually lose against closer because of you don't have that bulk, and Shadow Ball will yeet you. As far as bulk points go, still not that great, as you see here. So you still beat what you beat, you still lose what you lose against. No key break points or bulk points at all. So there's nothing key that you would use. Cresselia, you know how to use it, but yeah, there's not really much of a difference. But again, Cresselia is really expensive. If you want to use it, if you notice a lot of people using water save switches or water closes or water leads, Cresselia is not a bad idea if you don't want to use Hypno or you're bored of Hypno. Anyways, that's it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. Cresselia is insanely powerful, just really expensive, and if you don't want to use Cresselia, you got Hypno. But its strength is like what I mentioned before. Having Grass Knot really makes a difference in this meta. Hopefully you guys are doing great in Go Battle League sets. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the new cup called the Retro Cup. I'm kind of enjoying it, if you want me to be honest with you. I'm not too excited because it's like the Kanto Cup. It's kind of like the Kanto. It's like the Kanto and the Holiday Cup had a baby. That's what the Retro Cup is. Anyways, good luck in Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video. Again, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1K subs, so I'd really appreciate if you do. Thank you, please and thank you.